I always say that photography and exploring goes hand in hand for me. So let's exactly do that. Explore. And we're gonna take with us the Vivo X200 Ultra and showcase what this is really capable of when it comes to the camera. And also a little bit of conversation about battery life. When you look at places like Burgess Garden, it's hard not to get humbled by the scale of it, the sheer immensity of it all. The mountains are forged by slow violence of colliding continents, rising like ancient sentinels, standing guard over the land shaped by time, as far as the eye can see. A quiet beauty stretching across the horizon, raw, untouched, endless serenity. And this is the beauty that I came here to capture. And not just with any phone, but with the Vivo X200 Ultra. Yet my purpose goes deeper. I didn't come here merely to record an image. No, I came here to preserve a feeling, a stillness, a wonder, a way your breath catches as you stand before a far older and far greater thing than yourself. So, welcome to Berchtesgaden, a jewel of southern Germany, filmed by me and captured with the Vivo X200 Ultra. Not just for a moment, but for a memory.
Well, welcome to my crib. Let me give you a little tour. This is supposed to be for 3 people, but I'm alone, but still. I wonder what kind of people can fit in. Charger, of course my stuff back in there, another phone, pillow, little bit of at least a cushion, so it's more comfortable. Yeah, that's it. That was the tour. Yep. So tent is set up and now we're gonna test out some different phones. But before we get there, of course, when I'm going to a different country, I'm gonna have to deal with roaming, and I can get a different SIM card and do all that hassle, or I can just get Saily. And that, by chance, happens to be today's sponsor. So let's talk about it.
So Saily is a feature where you use an eSIM. You simply download Saily on your phone, buy a plan that fits you and switch to that eSIM. Meaning you don't need to buy a separate SIM card and remove your own, and of course you have full control right at the tip of your fingers. And with 190 different countries to select from, it allows you for that stress-free experience while you are traveling. So you can truly enjoy the place you are staying at, like here at Berchesgaden. So with great deals and data plans and 24/7 support, it gives you that extra peace of mind. And of course, use my code Jermaine and you will get a 15% discount. If you do plan to travel, be sure to check out Saily, either via this QR code or naturally via the link in the description or pinned at the top of the comments.
So if you are planning to go on a vacation to, for instance, where I am right now, I wish I could pronounce it properly because I have no idea, be sure to check out Saily. And thank you Saily for, of course, sponsoring today's video.
Now, there are many reasons why I chose Berchtesgaden for this journey. Yes, it was far, about a 10-hour drive, but all the driving and time was definitely worth it. Because Berchtesgaden offers something rare for me: mountains and lakes. Together, they create a natural harmony I've always been drawn to, especially as a photographer. The reflections in the water, the vast unbroken echo of the sheer scale of it all. And also in my hand, a tool right for this kind of task. The Vivo X200 Ultra. This phone and its camera is more than just numbers, but we still have to begin there. We now have a 35mm equivalent main sensor, the largest sensor on an ultra-wide on any phone, and of course the powerful HP9 periscope. On paper, this is a powerhouse, but in the real world, how does it stack up? Vivo naturally has always leaned into that brighter, more saturated shot, and that's simply because of the collaboration with Zeiss as well, which is known for that kind of approach. And in a place like this, where depth and dimensions are carved by lights and shadows, that choice might make perfect sense. So, how do I begin this? Realistically, with raw photography. To me, raw photography is a lifeline. It's how I get closer to what the camera truly sees. There's no AI interference, no excessive sharpening, just reality. Cooled down tones, natural textures, and a clean slate you can work with. And when you compare the raw versus the JPEG, even if it's unedited, the difference is striking. The raw feels cleaner, less processed, more authentic. And that for me is everything, because over sharpening is really hard to undo, but also doesn't feel very realistic. And if you want to add that sharpness, you can, and it's much easier than removing it. With this kind of freedom, it allows me to sculpt the mood of the shot. I can make it feel much more moody, even surreal, with colors that stray from reality. Or keep things bright, vibrant, true to life. It all depends on how I feel at the moment and how I feel like I want to depict the scene itself. Maybe, for instance, a bit of a soft haze over the distant mountains, or the clarity of the water saturated just enough to really stand out, to tell the story of what I saw or how I felt at that moment. Now a note for the curious. Yes, the zoom lens can be used in Pro mode. You can attach it and you can use it at that 85mm equivalent focal length. But it's not an easy task. The image flips, meaning the up becomes down and left becomes right. And composing a shot like that is a challenge. Not to mention, the slightest movement will sway it off quite a bit. And of course, it doesn't feel natural to make a composition like that. Now, with this new photography kit, it isn't only about that lens that you can attach, but also the possibility to attach filters. And I brought my ND filter with me and a polarizer. Though in truth, I mostly used the polarizer because it worked best here, especially with the legs itself. It brought out that clarity and allowed me to play a little bit with that reflection on the water itself. Though I will be honest, I'm still learning when it comes to a polarizer and how to properly utilize it. The gear arrived the day before I left and I haven't used a polarizer in any other photography, and therefore I still have a lot to learn when it comes to using that properly. In the end, raw photography on the Vivo X200 Ultra allows me to capture something where I feel like I can bring it to a level that I'm satisfied with, to fit my narrative but also fit my preference. That's the benefit of RAW. And of course, if you want to use that kind of style, you can. Naturally, for my members, I will also upload those RAW files so you can check them out yourself and see what you can do with it. But also, of course, check the quality out as well. But this is RAW photography. Let's discuss the normal photography on the Vivo X200 Ultra here at Berchtesgaden. As you guys know, with me, when it comes to photography, it's always been hand in hand with exploring, with seeing different locations that allows you to work on a composition. It makes it interesting. If I shoot my same city over and over again, at some point you just know how to take that shot, because you're just like, I've done it many times before and let me just quickly capture it. It kind of removes the fun of the composition away, and for me, that's why I like exploring together with it, because then you always are challenged to capture something new, something different. And that's why also when it comes to my compositions, you don't see like 1,000 shots. I try to keep the shots minimal, but try to make sure that the shots that I'm taking are actually proper. Yes, I will have some retakes of the same composition, but I won't be like, oh yeah, let me just... It's not my style, so I don't have many shots when it comes to even this location. But I just want to make sure that I capture the feeling that I'm having at that place, the essence of the place, in a way that is hard to describe. So that's the part that I really enjoy when it comes to photography, including mobile photography. Yes, not all phones will have the same soul in the shot, and I don't think that the Vivo X200 Ultra has that yet. But it's definitely a lot better in getting that contrast in the shot and a bit more color contrast as well. That allows the shot to have a lot more depth to it without it losing the essence of what Vivo does normally with the exposure, the dynamic range and so on. Either way, today's day 2 of shooting here. Let's find some different spots to shoot at as well. Sadly, my other tripod broke, so now it's a flimsy one, and that one, not too sure if I can take that on this trip with me, but I will definitely take my Canon with me as well for some photography with it. It's a 50mm, so that's perfectly fine. Either way, let's continue the video. Naturally, when switching from RAW to auto mode on the Vivo X200 Ultra, you will see a transformation, not just in the image but the entire approach of photography. Vivo's processing is known to be bold at sometimes, even aggressive depending on the shot. We're talking about the sharpness, the vivid colors and an almost surreal dynamic range. Images emerge brighter, sometimes unnaturally so, but striking in its own way. That said, I do prefer what I'm seeing with the X200 Ultra this year. There's more depth to the shot right now, especially in the shadows itself, a little bit darker, more refined. Colors carry more weight and the contrast feels more deliberate, especially with the colors. It's subtle, but it's still important for the photography of it. Now the 35mm equivalent lens is a topic that will divide people, I know that. But here's the truth. I'm using the main sensor far more because of it. It just feels more natural. Before I would crop into the sensor to get that look. Now I simply get that look. And that makes all the difference for me. And speaking of differences, we also now have a new mode called Classic Negative. It isn't about realism. Not about mirroring what the world really is. No, it's playing with a different idea of photography. I feel like this kind of mode works best when there's a lot of things happening in the frame itself, and it doesn't aim to capture the truth but somewhat of an emotion. And I think in countries like China, where it's really busy on the streets, or in Japan with different light sources going all around, it will be perfect for that. Now, will I say that Vivo has improved in terms of that soul, that character? To a degree, I would say no. That's not its strength, but it's not a flaw. Different preferences for different people are really what matters here. Vivo with size would never be Xiaomi's Leica collaboration, and certainly not like a dream brand pairing with Fujifilm as well. But one thing that Vivo really is consistent. I can trust it to take the shot. And if I miss it, it's more likely my fault, and not the Vivo's. Still, do I wish there was a way to completely turn off AI processing? Yes, but sadly it isn't there. And I also want to talk about the manual controls that you have right at the tip of your finger when it comes to, for instance, the sharpness, the contrast, the vividness, and of course the brightness. Because of Vivo's processing, I dial it all the way down when it comes to that sharpness, -100. Every single time. And thankfully, because of that new camera button, I also finally have EV control as well. It lets me fine-tune the shot more to my liking, and this is especially handy when using that external lens as well. And while we are talking about that lens attachment, right from the start, the build quality is really impressive, and you can go to this dedicated mode built for it. But for this mode to truly shine, it isn't landscape photography, it isn't mountains I think. No, it's more standout subjects, like in my early impressions video of it, when of course I did some photography with animals. That's where this lens comes alive. You get a level of clarity and richness to the detail that no digital crop can match. When the focus hits and you get that brightness sorted out, it really stands out. Now, one last thing to talk about is battery life, because even with the best camera, it's useless when it dies in your hands. The X200 Ultra. Yes, it can get a little bit warmer, but not uncomfortably so, but warm enough to notice it to a degree. I'll be watching this carefully when of course we are getting hotter and hotter weather, but during the trip it held its own. After 10 hours of driving with playing music, even a bit of background video running, it still had enough left to get me to the campsite. I did shortly charge it for about 3-4% just to make sure I made it, but when it comes to the battery life, it has been excellent. So at the end of this video, I think where Vivo really does well is the versatility of it. Do I think it's the best in Seoul? No, but it really depends on what kind of shooter you are. That's why I always stay away from my own opinion, because simply put, that's my opinion and doesn't necessarily have to be yours. And you have to recognize strength as well, even if it doesn't fit your perspective on what a picture should look like or whether it fits your style or not. And I think when it comes to that versatility and the trust that I have in the phone itself really makes it an excellent device. Not to mention that battery life has been excellent. Either way, do hope that you enjoyed this video. Of course, I do hope that you like this different scenery as well, because that's something exciting. Either way, before we leave, I really want to thank my members as well. Hope you enjoyed this different view. And of course, for you members, WoW files will be uploaded of the Vivo X200 Ultra. And naturally, thank you again Saley for sponsoring today's video. Be sure to check them out via the QR code or of course use the code Jermaine.